October is our connection month as we complete the first cycle of our fall triple retrograde series and launch into the second cycle. A lot of October is about making sense of September, so allow people in situations from last month to still drop into place this month. Give it a little bit of time to all settle in and still make sense. In October, we place a higher value on love, fairness, connection, and truth. We want what's real, and we're hypersensitive to what's not. Globally, October warns of legislation that benefits lawmakers more than citizens, and the use of Hollywood stars and social media influencers to promote government campaigns. Dark agendas of international world leaders will get exposed during the month of October, leading us to debate what's legal versus criminal and who thinks they're above the law. This will bring us to the brink of truth speaking on the global stage and in our own lives. Be prepared for the idea of info wars on a personal level as well as on an international level. Hi friends, and welcome to October 2022. This is the Futurecast, and I'm your host and cosmic coach, Moriel Loren. October's star alignments bring relationship repair, romance, and power moves. Let these 4 questions guide your journey in October. Number 1, how are your self-worth, inner values, and boundaries determining your toleration level with others? Number 2, can you allow yourself to fall in love with a person or a passion project? Or does the feeling of surrendering and being swept away feel frightening to you? Number 3, how comfortable are you with expressing the energies of love and anger? Number 4, are the things you're saying yes to empowering you or leaking your energy? I'm ready if you are, so let's dive in. We can't begin October without talking about September. September was a place-setting month that began the first cycle of our fall triple retrograde series, and it led us into October. You can check out my September horoscope with the links below for more details and dates on the predictions. But let's see how things actually turned out. In September, I predicted that there would be major government transitions and announcements during the first fall Mercury retrograde period from September 9th to October 2nd, and extra heightened action during the week of the fall equinox around September 22nd through 24th. So how did it turn out? Well, as I predicted, the Queen of England died on the first day of the Mercury retrograde cycle and then was buried on the first day of the week of the spring equinox. On the exact date of the fall equinox, the US Federal Reserve raised interest rates, which caused a market stir all around the world, and the Bank of England, following the Queen of England's death, also followed suit with the Federal Reserve's rate hike. Then, on the final day of Mercury retrograde, Putin granted citizenship to American espionage whistleblower Edward Snowden. In September, I also predicted that there would be an environmental crisis that was costly for citizens but profitable for private response companies. In alignment with my predictions, the Nord Stream gas pipeline was leaking into the Baltic Sea, Hurricane Ian devastated the US East Coast, and NASA blew up an asteroid that was headed on a collision course with Earth. I predicted for September also that there was more money to be made in healthcare, either by releasing another virus or by privatizing testing and vaccination. Sure enough, in September, Dr. Anthony Fauci announced his early retirement to the even more profitable private sector just shortly after the government announced that all testing and vaccination will soon be privatized. In September, I also predicted there would be public image problems and an American embarrassment through some PR snafus of the Biden administration. Sure enough, on the very first day of September, President Biden delivered his controversial Soul of the Nation speech, during which he labeled President Trump and anybody who voted for him as a terrorist, which naturally caused a lot of backlash in 50% of the population. I had also predicted in my September newsletter that September 16th was going to be a politically divisive and nebulous day. Turns out on that exact date, September 16th, Iranian woman Mahsa Amini was mysteriously murdered by the nation's morality police, which caused international global human rights protests. Looks like my September predictions were pretty accurate. So let's see what October stars hold. The month of October begins with the importance of love and the law, as Venus moves into Libra for 3 weeks from September 29th to October 23rd, making us value love, fairness, connection, justice, and romance more highly. In October, this influence helps us to mend and repair some of the relationships and business partnerships that were under review during the months of September. So don't worry, you'll have a chance to smooth things over. You may also be particularly inclined to the idea of falling in love during the month of October. So allow yourself to feel swept away with a bit of romance regarding a person or even a passion project. Also in October, take special care of appearances, how things look, yourself, your home, your business materials. Remember that appearances create a subconscious impression of how valuable something or someone is. Resistance to romance is a fear of surrendering control that is often disguised as practicality. Can you allow yourself to fall in love with a person or passion project? Or does the idea of being swept off your feet feel frightening? Romance is silly, and I'm a serious person, you might say. In resisting romance, you are closing the door to possibilities you don't yet even know about and keeping yourself stuck in whatever limited reality your mind can currently conceive for you. And chances are, your mind is only imagining something that is small, safe, and familiar, keeping your life looking a lot like it does right now. Falling in love doesn't make sense, your prideful practicality might say. No, staying fearful, stuck, and small is what doesn't make sense. The heart is attuned to intuitive opportunities beyond mental reality. And in following your heart towards certain people and passion projects, you make available to yourself more than the mind ever could have imagined and probably wouldn't have chosen. It will move your life into unfamiliar territory that invites creativity and change. Resistance to romance is a false control of the mind that is afraid of what the heart is asking it to do. And in all likelihood, you aren't controlling much of anything, but rather containing and limiting your potentiality. Give your mind permission to surrender false control so that you can fall in love with the people and passion projects that are going to grow your life. Nationally, the October star alignments infer money to be made through laws, so keep an eye out for laws that benefit lawmakers more than citizens. It also indicates money to be made through beauty and popularity, so keep your eyes peeled for Hollywood stars and social media influencers that are contracted by the government to promote the midterm election campaigns and other government agendas. The next most important date in October is October 2nd, the end of Mercury retrograde, which allows for some relationship retrograde relief, where all of the relationships and business partnerships that were under consideration during the month of September finally start to make sense around October 2nd and through the rest of the month in October. So don't worry, you still have time to smooth things over and give it a chance for people and things to fall into place. Your self-worth, inner values, and boundaries drive your toleration levels with others. How you're showing up is reflected in who is showing up for you. Observe the mirrors and reflections in your relationships. Why are you drawing certain people and situations into your life? What is this telling you about yourself? Changing your external connections starts with connecting more deeply inwardly. Connection to your why, how, and under what circumstances is your energetic envelope for attraction. Repackage your relationships by unpacking what's in your attraction envelope. October 7th, 8th, and 9th are the Warrior Within theme, as the Sun and Chiron meet up to examine old wounds linked to self-advocacy and repressed anger that you may have been working on since July. The Warrior Within uses the energy of anger as the goodwill guardian of love. Love is the highest energy frequency. It represents all that is good, kind, and centered within us. And anger is her gatekeeper. Anger is the survival response within you that wants to protect, defend, and fight back when her highest virtues are threatened. Love is your home, and anger is your alarm system. Love and anger are allies, not opponents, and they are match made by the intensity of their bigness and power, which is why society encourages us to downplay them. Don't get upset, but don't be too nice either. We are socially conditioned to downplay our love and anger responses, which takes us out of the power of some of the two strongest emotions. The reason why you may struggle to stand up for yourself is because you are relearning how to use the energy of holy righteous rage to protect and honor and uphold everything that is precious to you. Anger is the conduit to advocacy that returns you to the love. Meanwhile, the Aries full moon accompanies Pluto in a push to reclaim power. Reclaiming power is only possible after recognition of rescindance. So, what have you given away that you now want back? Wasted time, unrequited affection, frivolous spending, low-vibe relationships. Observe wherever your choices and toleration levels have been leaking energy from your ecosystem. It's time to power up by zipping up. Globally, we can expect power ploys from the patriarchy, big business, the government, and war updates from October 8th through 11th. The weekend of October 22nd is about getting unstuck, as Saturn helps to uproot you from limiting situations from October 2022 to spring 2023, creating more flexibility and freedom and forward movement in your life. When you are feeling stuck, it's because your yes is out of alignment. You consented to something either out of fear or lack of clarity, and you are only seeing a narrow view of outcome options as a no to the immediate uncomfortable situation. The roadmap out of a self-made trap is to tap into your values and desires. Rather than just saying no to the immediate situation, what would you like to say yes to? Because it's your yes that got you into the trap, so it's your yes that requires reworking. More time, freedom, peace, connection, reward, whatever. Focus on what you're fighting for rather than against. What values do you want to validate? Affirmation, not rejection, is the key to unsticking limitation. Globally, from October 21st through 31st, we may hear from those who are endorsing the New World Order, such as the United Nations, the World Economic Forum, and tech giants. They will be endorsing collective security through individual compliance and trying to replace freedom and individual identity and reality with technology and people as products. From October 23rd to November 16th, it's time to use our power tools as Venus enters Scorpio for 3 weeks, making us all more investigative, intense, and seeking power. Now, negatively used, this attitude can make us suspicious and morbid and prone to getting into power struggles with other people. All of these themes might be intensified by the October 25th solar eclipse in Scorpio. That's very likely a continuation of some pre-existing events and circumstances in your life that first emerged around April and May. So try to remember the important people, circumstances, and ideas that were present in your life late spring, early summer, and see how those themes may be continuing now around October and November. It could be time to strike. The qualities you like about yourself that you notice have an effect on other people are what give you power. This could be your appearance, your success, your money, your popularity, whatever. But they are your dynamic tools of intervention in your reality. meaning when you put those tools out there, you get a response. You have power. But how you direct your dynamic tools of intervention determines what kind of power you have. True power emerges from a place of giving, creating, inspiring, and including, where other people are moved to align with you in a way that feels natural and mutually beneficial. False power emerges from a place of taking, forcing, winning, or excluding, where others feel compelled to align with you out of fear or illusory hope, and they end up feeling used. True power is the difference between effectiveness and influence versus leverage and manipulation. And the space between true power and false power is the leadership of intuitive intention that supersedes the vulnerability of ego temptation. Halloween week looks a little spooky on the world stage from October 25th to 31st as Jupiter backslides into Pisces, making the world feel like the beginning of 2022 all over again. So we might retract into a little bit of pandemic drama, variant concerns, limitations on personal freedoms, and a feeling of concern increasing in the economy. So trick or treat. We kick off the second cycle of our fall season triple retrograde series from October 31st to January 12th, when Mars takes its biannual retrograde or reverse spin through the sky. Mars symbolizes action and vitality and advocacy when it's in its forward position, and symbolizes delays or illness or aggression when it's in its reverse position. So we can expect things to be a little wonky from Halloween to the beginning of next year. The themes that will be highlighted during this particular Mars retrograde will be questions around travel, information, communication, contracts, and legal negotiations. On a personal level, crucial conversations will be the highlight for the Mars retrograde from October 31st to January 12th. The truth you don't want to share is the one you need to. Biting back your words is not an indication of weakness, but rather an indication of how much something means to you. A thought, feeling, or desire means so much to you that the risk of speaking it into reality bears the possibility of destruction. Whatever it is, you want it so much that you're afraid it will either be destroyed by others once it's voiced, or that it will destroy a safety mechanism that you've used to coast in your current survival story. Your truth will either make others uncomfortable or you uncomfortable, because truth always requires change. So you avoid saying it. But beneath avoidance lies meaningfulness. This thing matters so much to you. Biting back words backfires on defending your sacred desires. Staying silent keeps your sacred desires small, unseen, and vulnerable to the massive fear that is controlling your current survival story. And it's often disguised under the polite social alibi of not wanting to hurt others. Not speaking up destroys everything you do want and rather upholds untruths in your life. Put your sacred desires back in the driver's seat by speaking your truth. This honors their meaningfulness by destroying everything that is untrue and opens the gateway to everything you want. The Mars retrograde cycle in the communication sign of Gemini from October 31st to January 12th brings the era of what I'm calling info wars on a global scale. For example, the United Nations recently announced its, quote, war on conspiracy theorists by partnering with media company Twitter to control public information and free speech about governments and businesses. Meanwhile, President Biden just hired Communist China's media company TikTok to manage misinformation about his midterm election campaigns. And we can't forget that Iran has been resisting reporters and controlling news coverage about the mass human rights protests that are happening in its country because of the mysterious civilian murders by its morality police. Keep an eye out for these themes about information control and further reprimands against free speech during the Mars retrograde period. It's going to be up to us to keep our eye on what's true and maintain our ability to speak and debate about it freely. Okay, friends, now that you know the overall energy patterns for October 2022, it's time for you to determine your destiny. I look forward to hearing about your progress throughout the month. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider giving us a thumbs up or a like on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, social media, and consider signing up for our monthly newsletter. If you're curious how these geocosmic signatures affect you individually in your business and relationships, then I'd love to see you in my office or online for an individual consultation. You can reach out to me anytime at livesymbolic.com. All right, friends, goodbye for now, and until next time, when our stars align.